Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 1010 for the 29th of November. Just now the frontline changes report, I reported the wrong date because I forgot to change the header. Oh yeah, and I forgot to close this. And so I forgot to change the headers here. So no, I said the wrong date. It's actually 1010. So 29th of November. So then we're going to start off with the Kursk front. So we're gonna go clockwise direction. The Russian forces continued pretty much the same thing. There is no strategic change between the region. Fighting is reported at Plekovo. No more fighting reported over at this area at Krylovka. So the primary attack is the counter attack or offensive is still over on the western flank. So the Russian forces continue their operations over at Viktorovka, Leonidovo, Alexandria, Nikolsky, Novo-Ivanovka, Nizhny, Lebedevka, Svidrikovo, Nikolaevo Darino. Interestingly, there is no Darino being mentioned in the last Kursk report. It may be possible that the Russians have taken the positions around here and they are now pushing towards Svidrikovo. But generally, strategically, there is no change regarding this sector. We haven't seen Loknya being mentioned yet. So the situation pretty much remains more or less the same. The northern flank, pretty much, it went really quiet. Kulenkoe not mentioned. Malaya Loknya not mentioned. Staria Sorokina not mentioned. So no. It's anyone's guess what the front line currently looks like at this moment in the Kursk front. We go on to the Kharkiv front. At the Kharkiv front, we see the return of the fighting around this Kazacha-Lopan sector, with the Ukrainian Defense Ministry reporting fighting over at Kudievka. So Kudievka is just north of Hotlevka that was previously allegedly captured by the Russian forces in the initial Kharkiv offensive. But tentatively, that's all we have. As I mentioned in the previous rep, this Kozacha-Lopan sector might actually be the Ukrainian gathering of forces that they are intending to do their major counteroffensive. Based on the Ukrainians, the Ukraine Defense Ministry today just reported that they have changed the commander for the land forces. So the army commander has just changed the previous one. By pure results, is a failure. Under his command, the Russian forces has been conquering a lot of grounds, and now they have changed to another commander. So they changed both the commander and the deputy. So we will see how this continues to play out. This is where I believe the Ukrainian forces are gathering their forces, and they're going to head towards Belgorod. From this area, if they are really going to, as what Sersky has mentioned, planning to do a major counter-offensive. And I believe that the next target will be Belgorod, because this is where I feel like, if the Ukrainians really want to do a major offensive operation, this should be the direction. I mentioned this more than a year already. And because the Ukrainians have basically done too much incursions to the other side, operation from the intelligence unit, the DIU, I think Defense Intelligence Unit. So they have done too much of this cross-border thingy, and the last one was rather big to the point where the Russian forces decided to create this buffer zone, and so this basically cut off a chunk of the border region that the Ukrainians cannot use. So now I think the next one, this is the only highway that is closest, so it leads to Kozacha-Lopan. So this is where I believe the next the Ukrainians the only place the Ukrainians could potentially do an offensive that makes sense. I will do another, probably a separate video focus on just this topic, and I can explore some of the possible strategies that the directions that the Ukrainians could do from this direction to go for Belgorod, and they can possibly replicate what's happening to Syria right now, where the HTS, the rebel group, has basically taken the western part of Aleppo. So if you want to know what's happening in Syria, do check out the video before this one. I've done the Syrian SITREP. So do check it out. So the rest of the the Kharkiv front line pretty much is the same. Fighting is reported at Klipoke, First Chance, as well as Taike. There is, however, some frontline change over at Lipsy. The Ukrainians apparently is doing some offensive operation north of Lipsy, geolocation of Ukrainian forces taking some more grounds along the this major forest southeast of Klipoke. So while we have the Ukrainian Defense Ministry mentioned fighting at Klipoke, but that's all we know. The Russian Defense Ministry yesterday did not report on the SITREP. They do a weekly sum up, so that's why we don't have a daily SITREP. So today will be lacking the Russian Defense Ministry report, except for the Kursk front, because the Kursk front have their own separate reports. So we move on to the Kupiansk front. At the Kupiansk front, we have no reports of fighting over at Fekholivka or Novomlinsk, which is a surprise. So yeah, it begs the question: is this a really serious thing or not? Nothing else was reported at Kupiansk as well. We move on to the Pischane front. I seen a lot of suggestion that this is a wolf, then this is a saber-toothed tiger. But if saber-toothed tiger, you need the teeth, right? So the teeth is not out yet. So I don't know. Yeah, we shall continue guessing, what kind of animal is this front line. But Koloniskivka was being attacked, and there is fighting reported at Lozova. So that's all from the Pischane front. We move further south at the Borova sector. There is fighting reported at Vishneve, Zeleny High, Peshotrevneve, as well as Novoyehorivka. So there is some frontline change over in the Vishneve region. As we zoom in, you can see that the Russian forces has expanded the front line over at Vishneve, which confirmed the Russian full capture of Vishneve itself. So this also corroborates the reports of the fighting towards Zeleny High. And there is also fighting reported in the Peshotrevneve, which is pretty much part of the same area of operations. So we continue to play out wait for this to play out in this AAO, and we'll see how it goes. We move further south to the rest of the Svetove fronts. We have fighting reported only at Kharkivka. There was previous geolocation at Makievka, so confirming Ukrainians have is in the region, invalidating some of the Russian claims. I believe I've mentioned this yesterday. Over in the Kremina front, fighting is reported at Terny, Yampolivka, Zarishny, Dibrova, as well as through the Serbiansky forestry. And as well as Kharkovivka somehow. There at Torske, there is further invalidation of Russian claims, and this time round, the latest geolocation shows that the Ukrainians are at the end of this tree line, which means that the Ukrainian mapping is basically the correct one. So the Russian claims in this region is now entirely invalidated. So there is no more Russian claims around here. The front line has pretty much paralleled each other on the Ukrainian side as well. So that's all from the Kremina front. Nothing much at Sivers. Over at the Bakhmut front, we have a lot of reports of fighting around because the Russian sources talk more about the Chasivya direction. So let's zoom in a bit. Fighting is reported at Kalinina, Oslovo Trek, Chasivya, as well as Novi. So this Novi is a micro district. It's part of the district of Chasivya. So this is Olovo Trek. So the Russian forces have taken this area here. But honestly, this is pretty much just nothing burger. This is just a repeating of the situation that's already existed for more than a month. I think it's just the Ryba, the Prussian source, just refreshing the viewers and the readers of the situation at the Bakhmut front. Further south, fighting is reported at Priteshny, Klishevka, Andrievka, and towards Bilahora. Bilahora is reported by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. The rest are from the Russian sources. The Russian mapping also do make some slight frontline changes over off the southeast of Stupovsky. Nothing particularly mind-blowing here. We move on. Over at the New York front, the only fighting being mentioned is at Druzhba. So this is mentioned by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. They mention enemy aircraft striking Alessandro Kalinove and Alessandro Shtine. I think it's all in the rear positions. So otherwise, just fighting at Druzhba, but that's all. We move further on to the Pokrovsk. How do we pronounce this? People keep complaining the way how I pronounce it. Pokrovsk. Pokrovsk. Yeah. So there's nothing over the northern flank. Over in the Pokrovsk sector, fighting is reported at Marolibivka, Promen, Lisivka, as well as Dashinsky. So the situation strategically is never going to change around here. So until the Russians have better strategic positioning in the other sides of the front lines, so don't expect too much from this area. As we move further south, to the Selidove sector, we have fighting reported. This Dechansky as mentioned already. Fighting is reported towards Verozhenia. The Russian forces captured Zovte. They have captured Pustinka, and as well as Pushkine. So fighting, they didn't capture Pushkine. They conquered ground towards Pushkine, and it's interesting to note that it's until just now I saw a comment that Pustinka actually means poo is stinky, like Pustinka. No, I just joking, I just I always been wondering, Pustinka sounds very familiar, but no, I just realized it can be poo stink. So anyway, over in the northern half of the Kurakove sector, fighting is reported at Zoria, Novodemitrivka. Geolocation of Russian forces in the northeast of Zoria was noted, confirming Russian progress or presence in that sector. Fighting is reported at Sonsivka and Bereski. The lack of intel or frontline change in this sector is suspicious, which means that we might see a major intel drop in the near future, because this can't possibly be the line, given the impossibility of defending such a line here. We move to the southern half of the Kurakove sector. We have fighting reported towards Dashne already for the first time, and the fighting is reported at Dalne as well as at Kurakove. There's some slight frontline changes within Kurakove, so which I believe that is based on the Ukrainians mapping. So the Ukrainians have drawn it in this way, and I did mention in the frontline changes report I go to change the mapping, which I forgot to do. So let's attach it in this way. So let's adjust this to the based on the East Ukraine mapping, because previously that was just a rough gauge of where the front line is. So now let's move this so that we can all feel a bit more less irritated, I guess. Whatever. Let's just draw this then. So I believe now everybody is gonna feel much better about yourself now, because for no reasons at all. So over at further south in the Uspenivka sector, the eastern flank of the Uspenivka sector, the Russian forces are fighting at Ilinka, Yelizavetivka, Zeleny High. Trudove, surprisingly, there's no reports of fighting. There's fighting reported towards Uspenivka instead. There's fighting towards Hanivka. Romanivka was not mentioned as well. So this I believe I already mentioned before. The Russian forces are geolocated around Trudove, and they are now closing down on Uspenivka, because this is the western side of Trudove. This is actually across the river. It's actually not at Trudove. Trudove only exists on the eastern side of this river. So on the western side, the Russians are pushing towards Uspenivka. So this is problematic, because this is going to force Ukrainian withdrawal from Zeleny High. If not, they're going to get operationally encircled. As we move to the western part, I think I need to zoom out. So let's zoom out a bit. So let's do this. So we have the Dalne, Hanivka, Zeleny High, and then we have this frontline change around Trudove, where the Russian forces is now pushing for Uspenivka. So let's use another color. Pushing for Uspenivka. Russian forces are reportedly attacking Konstantinopolsk as well as Sukiali. There's nothing else around this sector. The main focus seems to be Uspenivka right now. I think this is the main target at this moment. Capturing Uspenivka will severely frustrate the Ukrainians' efforts in this sector. Once Uspenivka fall, you're going to be yet another I can't even remember the name. Voleda, no, another Voleda moment. So, and Kurakove, while it's a HQ, it does not hold such a strategic importance as per Uspenivka. So then after Uspenivka, the next target is going to be Constantinople. So that's going to be the next Uspenivka. And we move on to the Velika Novosilka sector. Russian forces have captured Rozdone. They've captured Rozdone, expanded the front line, moving towards Novi Korma. And there is a river along here, just in case you do not know. And this river decides a lot of things. This river split out in this way. So, and as the Russians going to, there's a crossing around here at Novo Cheretuvate over there. So this is the only crossing leading the roads. The road around here. There's another road. Of course, this road is gone. This cannot be used anymore. So the Russian forces once go to Novi Koma, they can end the breach, creating a operational encirclement from the north, forcing the Ukrainians to redraw out from the western part of the city of Velika Novosilka towards Veremivka. That will be the only way out. There's no more way out. Over at Novodonetsk, the Russian forces also push very hard and capture a lot of grounds, moving in the direction of Blahodane, which is here. So, and this will also, of course, leads to the closing up of the front line in the south of Velika Novosilka, which then links up to create the encirclement from three sides, and which will definitely 100% push the Ukrainians out of Velika Novosilka. And we have another flanking movement coming over at Novodarivka, but tentatively this flanking movement have not done much at this moment. The Ukrainian lines around here has been doing pretty well. So, and a geolocation of Russian forces at Rivnopil confirming Russian presence in that sector. So that's the current situation over in this Velika Novosilka. This is probably one of the very critical place as well. Fall of Velika Novosilka is going to collapse the front line as well, and then then the next front line is going to be anyone's guess. So, and we move into the Zaporizhia front. We have no reports at the Zaporizhia. We move into the Kherson front. Kherson front, we only have the Ukrainians talking about the usual Russians attacking in the Pridniprovsky direction, but in this translation, they call this the Pridniprovska direction. So whatever it is, that's all. So thank you everyone for watching. Do press the like button, subscribe if you are not subscribed. Check out the Syrian war SITREP if you're interested to know what the hell is happening over in Syria. The HTS, which is one of the rebel group. There's multiple of them. One of the rebel group launched a massive offensive towards Aleppo. They have captured 1/3 of the city already. So do check out the video, and because the more people watches it, the more likely I will continue to report on it more regularly. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next update.